Have you ever looked at someone who seems to have it all, the money, the fame, the power, and found out they're actually completely miserable? Well, today we're going to dig into a powerful 2,000-year-old idea that explains exactly why that happens and how you can build a life on a foundation that, literally, can never crumble.
I mean, we see these stories play out all the time, right? You've got the titan of industry with an empire built on incredible wealth, or you have the social media star with millions and millions of followers who then posts about their crippling depression. And of course, the politician who climbs all the way to the top only to have it all come crashing down because, well, their character just couldn't support the weight of it all. They checked all the boxes. They achieved everything society tells us to chase. So what gives? Why did all that external success lead to such internal ruin? Well, the answer lies in a broken formula that most of us are living by without even realizing it. All right, let's really get into this. Because from a young age, we've all been sold this very specific and, frankly, very flawed idea of how to find happiness. It looks a little something like this. If I can just get enough money, or enough status, or enough likes on social media, then I'll feel secure, I'll feel respected, and finally, I'll be happy. We chase the promotion, the fancy car, the perfect vacation photo, thinking those things are the finish line. But here's the thing. The data tells a completely different story. Study after study shows that, yeah, money boosts happiness up to a certain point, making sure your basic needs are met. But after about $100,000 a year or so, the effect on your day-to-day well-being pretty much flatlines. More money just doesn't move the needle.
And it's not just about income. I mean, think about lottery winners. You'd assume a massive, life-changing windfall would guarantee permanent happiness, right? Nope. Turns out about 5 years later, roughly half of them are no happier than they were before they won. Some are even more miserable. It's so clear that the formula is broken. So what's the alternative?
To find it, let's turn to an ancient philosophy that offers a pretty radical solution. And this isn't about giving up on your goals. It's about completely rewiring your entire definition of what success even means. This right here. This is the central, most game-changing claim of Stoicism. Not that virtue is a good thing, not that it's one of many important things. No, the claim is that it is the sole good, the only thing that truly matters. Everything else, your health, your wealth, your job, your reputation, all of it is secondary. So what in the world is virtue? The original Greek word arete really just means excellence of character. Think of it as being the best possible version of yourself in any given moment, acting with reason, with integrity, with a clear head. It's not some fluffy, abstract idea. It's a practical guide for living, and it's built on a few core pillars.
The Stoics boiled it down to these four. First, wisdom. That's the ability to see the world as it really is and make sound judgments. Then you have justice, simply our duty to treat other people fairly and with kindness. Courage, and we're not just talking about physical bravery, but the moral guts to do the right thing, especially when it's tough. And finally, temperance, or self-control, the discipline to be the master of our desires instead of being a slave to them. A life built on these four is, by definition, a good life.
You know, embracing this idea of virtue as the only real good isn't just a small life hack. It is like installing a completely new operating system for your mind. It changes how you process everything. And this is where that new operating system really boots up. It recategorizes everything we spend our lives chasing or running from. Things like health, wealth, a good reputation. The Stoics called these preferred indifferents. Sure, they're nice to have, but they aren't essential for a good, virtuous life. And on the flip side, things like sickness, poverty, or pain, those are dispreferred indifferents. You obviously wouldn't choose them, but, and this is key, they can't actually stop you from being a good person. So here it is. This is the fundamental shift. You stop making your number one goal the accumulation of external things that you can't ever fully control. Instead, your new primary goal becomes cultivating your internal character, the one and only thing you always have control over. That, right there, is where your real power lies.
Okay, so this can't just be a big philosophical idea, right? It has to be a practical daily discipline. So how do you actually put this stuff into practice, day in and day out?
Well, the Roman philosopher Seneca had this really simple but powerful tool, an evening review. Before you go to bed, you just ask yourself these three questions. And notice, this isn't about judging your accomplishments or your productivity. It's a straight-up audit of your character. Did I act with wisdom today? Did I show courage? Was I fair to people?
And this is how the entire game of life changes. Imagine you have what the world would call a bad day. You lose a huge client, your boss yells at you. Externally, that looks like a failure. But if you handled that situation with courage, with honesty, with self-control, internally, that's a massive success. Your character stayed strong. That's the real win for the day.
When you really start building your life on this internal foundation, something incredible starts to happen. You become unshakable. Because you stop tying your happiness to things that can be ripped away from you at any moment.
I mean, just think about the psychiatrist Viktor Frankl. In the Nazi concentration camps, he lost everything. His wife, his parents, his possessions, his freedom.
Or Nelson Mandela, who lost 27 years of his life locked away in a tiny prison cell.
Or the philosopher Epictetus, who was born a slave and was so badly beaten by his master that he was left physically crippled for life. All of them were stripped of every single preferred indifferent you can possibly imagine. But the one thing that could never be taken from them, the one thing they held complete control over, was their character, their choice to respond to hell on earth with dignity, courage, and grace. And that is what made them truly unbreakable.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. When it's all said and done, what do you really want your legacy to be? Your job title and the number in your bank account? Or will it be the wisdom you shared, the justice you fought for, the courage you showed, and the temperance you lived by day in and day out? Because that's the only asset that truly lasts.